Fans, Kyle Krabs, Locked On Dolphins, and it was one hell of a weekend as the Miami Dolphins found themselves time and time again in the headlines. Extension, Xavien Howard, trade, DeVante Parker. Lots of reactions to get to, lots of thoughts, lots of opinions. We'll take it all here today. Locked On Dolphins, Monday, April 4th, 2022. Tap in.
You are Locked On Dolphins, your daily Miami Dolphins podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on, Dolphins fans? Kyle Krabs, your host here on Locked On Dolphins, lifelong Miami Dolphins fan, director of scouting at thedraftnetwork.com, and your host here. I want to thank you guys for making Locked On Dolphins your first Miami Dolphins listen of the day. Today's episode is brought to you by Bet Online. Bet Online has you covered for all of your sports betting needs with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. Bet Online, where the game starts. Where do we start? I guess we should probably start with the Xavien Howard contract extension that came out. And it came out late on April 1st. It was, April Fools, right? And no, it was not. Because if I were Xavien Howard's representation, if I were David Cantor, I certainly wouldn't be joking about a 2-year contract extension with over $50 million in newly guaranteed money, which is exactly what Xavien Howard got from the Miami Dolphins. This is a really interesting contract. And I think one thing that has to be remembered with all NFL player contracts is that there is a certain prestige, I think is the word I'm looking for, that comes with being a contract that resets the market. And a lot of the challenges that come with presenting new deals, especially when there's things in place that are going to just prevent you from, yes, you're the Jalen Ramsey deal, you're the Patrick Mahomes deal, right? Like those were pretty open and shut. Congrats, you got more money than anybody at offensive tackle or corner or wide receiver or quarterback has ever gotten before. Congratulations. Xavien Howard had played 2 years on a 5-year extension at the time of this new deal. And when the news first came out that it was 2 years, $50+ million, the 25.5 or 25+ million in new guaranteed money per year, that was how this contract was framed as a record-setting contract, and rightfully so. But this is, of course, not a 2-year, $50 million contract. The Dolphins are not on the hook for $50 million in cap space for Xavien Howard over each of the next 2 seasons. This is an extension. So they took the 2 years that he just played on his current deal, and they turned around and they flipped them on the back end, and then they pushed a boatload of guaranteed money forward into each of the next 2.5 seasons. So that was that's how you know the framing of the contract was well done, because when it was first reported, the timeline was like, this is fully, the money that they gave him is fully guaranteed. The entire contract's fully guaranteed. Well, no, it's not. And this is where Xavien Howard deserves credit. This is where David Cantor deserves credit. This is where Brandon Shore deserves credit, and Chris Greer deserves credit, and Tom Garfinkel and Stephen Ron. Like everybody on both sides, this is about as good of a scenario as I think you could have cooked up. Because the Dolphins have taken Xavien Howard and they have said, Xavien, we envision you being here for the next 2 to 3 years. And as such, we are going to place all of your guaranteed at signing money, because there's a difference between guaranteed money and guaranteed at signing money. We're going to put in the next 2.5 years. And each of the next 2 years is effectively fully guaranteed. So you're going to be well compensated. You're getting a $17 million signing bonus with a base salary of $1.035 million. That cash this year is $18.25 million. Great. His cash next year, $18.25 million. Both of those fully guaranteed. Signing bonus, 2022 salary, 2023 salary. Lock it in. He currently has $4 million of his 2024 salary at $15.4 million guaranteed for injury. And on the third day of the league calendar year in 2023, in 2024, another $4 million of that becomes fully guaranteed. So that is 2.5 years effectively of salary fully guaranteed for Xavien Howard. If things don't go well, Miami can part ways with Xavien Howard on the first day of the league calendar year in 2024, 2 years from now, and incur an $11.5 million dead cap hit, but save more than $11.5 million against the cap. So this is why it's always important to remember that the presentation of the contract matters. So would you rather say Xavien Howard's new contract is 5 years, $90 million with $55 million in guarantees or whatever that exact number is? Would you rather say that? Or would you rather say, for the recognition that it provides Xavien Howard as one of the best players at his position in the NFL, would you rather say he got 2 new years on his deal with over $50 million added to his contract? That average for the new money and years added to a deal is a record-setting deal for a cornerback in the NFL. If I'm Xavien Howard, I want the one that makes me sound the best. If I'm the Dolphins, I'd rather present it like that too, instead of saying, well, the other alternative is we could pay Xavien Howard $22 million per season, locked in, no questions asked, instead of $18.25 over each of the next 2 years. Xavien Howard's not getting paid more than $18.5 million in any of the 5 years on his deal. So I know there's been a lot of friction between Xavien Howard and Dolphins fans and the Miami Dolphins because of the constant ongoing back and forth on this front, right? But I think Xavien Howard deserves a bit of a nod here, because Marshawn Lattimore is getting $24 million in cash this year. J.C. Jackson's getting $28 million in cash this year. Signing bonus, obviously, new contract for J.C. Jackson signed with the Chargers. In 2023, Xavien Howard's new cash for that year is number one in the NFL by $750,000. In 2024, Xavien Howard is tied for number one with Jalen Ramsey. He got competitive money. They didn't blow the doors off this thing and make it wide open. And that was always going to be the question, was what was going to be most important to Xavien Howard? Well, his salary, the cash he's going to receive, is in line with the tops right now. Xavien Howard is the highest paid defender in cash on the Miami Dolphins this year. Answers the question that we asked at the end of last week. What is most important to X? You want to be the highest paid corner? You want to pay the highest paid defender? Do you want to be the highest paid player? Well, if not for Tyreek Hill getting $30 million per season, he'd have been the highest paid player too. And somehow I feel like he won't be too upset by that, because the presentation of this contract offered Xavien Howard a recognition and a nod amongst his peers that he is one of the best players in the NFL at his position, and he's being compensated competitively among the best players at his position. And of course, the footnote here is the Dolphins manufactured more salary cap space in the process, because they took a $17.115 million signing bonus, prorated that out over the next 5 seasons, gave him a $1 million base salary. They spread this out. His cap hit this year is $8.2 million. 8.2. Now it goes to 24, 23, 20, 21 and a half. But again, in year 3, that 23.17, they could part ways with Xavien Howard at any point in the process and save over $11.5 million of that. Not bad for a record-setting 2-year, $50+ million in guaranteed new money. Not bad at all. Tip of the hat to Xavien Howard. Glad we can put this behind us. Tip of the hat to the Dolphins for getting it taken care of sooner rather than later and letting this thing really draw out, especially because the Dolphins are in the building today. First-time new head coach with the team. You get that early install on organized team activities and OTAs. Dolphins are in the building today. So more news coming. Make sure you keep your head on a swivel. Listen, our next partner has a product I literally use every day. I take Athletic Greens because me being at my best, especially this time of year, is a must. It's short nights, long days, grinding tape, a lot of news for the Dolphins. We've got travel. It's pretty hectic, and it's pretty easy to wear you down. But AG1 from Athletic Greens has been clutch for me to make sure I start my day with something that can help keep me feeling my best and keep me going all day long. 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, adaptogens to help you start your day right. This special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, recovery, focus, aging, all of the things in the gauntlet. Right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition, especially heading into flu and cold season. It's just 1 scoop in a cup of water every day. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you 1 free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase of AG1. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/NFL Network. That is athleticgreens.com/NFL Network to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. It's college basketball championship time. Congratulations to the ladies, South Carolina Gamecocks. So they won the national championship on the women's side. But the men's, it's coming down. We're going to have a throwdown. Kansas, North Carolina. And perhaps you'd like to have a little skin in the game. BetOnline.net is your number one source for all your betting needs and sports information. Find all the latest sporting developments, including this week with the Masters Championships as well, with odds, podcasts, reviews for all the different leagues. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sports wagering information, including live betting, esports, and scores. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and action. BetOnline, where the game starts. Xavien Howard was not the only news that we got over the weekend. The Miami Dolphins traded wide receiver DeVante Parker. Not a surprise, but they traded him to the New England Patriots, and that was indeed a surprise. And the knee-jerk reaction anytime the Patriots ever do anything is, oh, man, good move for them. And I do think DeVante Parker can be a good addition to the New England Patriots. And I know one of the knee-jerk reactions from Dolphins fans was, this is dumb. Don't help your divisional opponents by giving them players. But I do think there's some perspective as it pertains to this decision and the Dolphins that bears some thoughts, right? And Miami is currently fourth in the NFL in salary cap as a result of the DeVante Parker trade and the Xavien Howard contract extension. Their top 51 cap space, $21.8 million. They are less than $5 million out of second place in the NFL. Only the Carolina Panthers with a comfortable lead over the field. They have $31 million in cap space. The Miami Dolphins, and I'm not going to be the first person to have this observation. I'm not going to be the last person to have this observation. But the Dolphins told you quite a bit about what they feel about the long-term prognosis of DeVante Parker with their decision to trade him within the division to the New England Patriots. And DeVante, when healthy, is physically capable of being a very impactful player in the game. In any given game, he might show up. But your best ability is availability. And we know that. And we know that's been an issue for DeVante Parker for forever, with the exception of the 1 year in which he was in a contract year and needed to absolutely ball out. I would also say this. I've had enough conversations with people who are familiar with DeVante Parker and his tenure with the Dolphins to feel fairly confident that DeVante Parker is a Tiger whose stripes are never going to change. DeVante, it's been long reported, his preparation, how he takes care of his body as somebody who has soft tissue injuries with consistency. That's been a bit of a sore spot. And that's something that the soft tissue injuries spring up every year. But also DeVante Parker's ability to rise within those moments of he might play, he might not play. He's got something going on, and he usually doesn't play. So let me ask you this. You've got Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Mike Gesicki on the roster. 3 of your top receiving options, and then you have Chase Edmonds out of the backfield. You paid similar money to Cedric Wilson, hand-selected by this regime, as what you're paying DeVante Parker. Would you rather have, as wide receiver 3, the guy who plays 11 games a year, who's 29 years old, doesn't separate, and won't have the run after the catch ability that you're coveting within this offense? Or would you rather have the guy that you just hand-selected as this regime and paid similar money in that role? Right? So wide receiver 4 being DeVante Parker and him getting paid what he was getting paid was redundant. I don't think anybody would argue that. And I know there's probably every single Dolphins fan who took exception to the trade would say, I don't have a problem with trading DeVante Parker. I have a problem with trading DeVante Parker to the Patriots. But the Dolphins have been around DeVante Parker since 2015. And if they know his habits, they know his prep, they know his ability to push through adversity, both physically and here, when things are tough, and he might play and he might not play. And he usually doesn't. Are the Dolphins not considering the idea that they might be trading the Patriots a lemon? And lemon is usually a car phrase for a car that's effectively a time bomb. And I'm not going to sit here and say that DeVante Parker is less physically talented than Cedric Wilson. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I think Preston Williams can do everything DeVante Parker can. That's not true. DeVante Parker is a better receiver than both of those players when he's healthy. But DeVante Parker always, every year has that clash, with the exception of 2019 when he played with Fitz and he was motivated from a contract perspective. But DeVante Parker has consistently, across the last several years of the NFL, been one of the least effective receivers in creating separation. And he's getting close to 30 years old. And he's continued to have injuries year over year over year. Perhaps DeVante Parker has the fire lit within him from being traded to New England. And you get the 2019 version of DeVante Parker. And if you do, I'll be happy for DeVante Parker. I won't be happy that he's on the Patriots. But even if you do, you still have Xavien Howard to cover him. And I know who I would bet on between those two players if you matched them up all day long. Now, I get the thought of, okay, Kyle, well, even the other 15 games, having a better option for Mac Jones in the passing game, that's fine. But what happens if the Patriots say, we got DeVante Parker? We need a new Mike linebacker. We need a new corner. We need more help in pass rush. It's a deep wide receiver room. Let's not draft. I mean, they can't draft wide receivers. The team has proven they are physically incapable of drafting wide receivers. They can't get the criteria right. So if DeVante Parker prevents the Patriots from doing anything else at the wide receiver position, I don't think the Dolphins did too bad. Because there's a lot of upgrade opportunities. They're going to be more dynamic, more explosive, and they're going to probably be more consistently available than DeVante Parker. Now, the Patriots are going to have to go out and not draft a wide receiver for this part of the equation to materialize. And you never know if that's going to, we won't know until that happens or not for another 3.5 weeks. But if you look at the wide receiver room that the New England Patriots have, even with DeVante Parker, okay, I know we're so used to, and this is my opinion, and I don't want to come across as preachy here, because I already had a couple people say, don't preach to Dolphins fans on how to feel about the New England Patriots. And I've had a bunch of Patriots fans in their feelings when I shared this opinion after the trade too. But we got to stop, in my opinion. We should not be putting the New England Patriots on this pedestal of every roster transaction that they make is a stroke of mad genius. And I understand Patriots fans will hear that and they'll say, oh, that's easy for you to say. You guys haven't won a playoff game in 20 years. That's right. But we kick your ass when we play you. So I'd say a little less and understand I'm not going to kiss your rings. And the Dolphins shouldn't kiss your rings. And if your clap back to that, Patriots fans, is all those wins over us and we still managed to make the playoffs before you, congratulations on downgrading into the consolation prize chapter of your fanhood, where making the playoffs, just making the playoffs is a thing to celebrate. Especially when the opposing quarterback throws for more touchdown passes in one game when you give up 47 points in your playoff appearance, that vaunted playoff appearance. The opposing quarterback threw more touchdown passes than you have wins against the Dolphins since the 2017 season. I'd say a little less. That's just me, though. I'd probably say a little less. What I don't have to say less about is Built Bar. Built Bar is a protein bar that tastes like a candy bar. These things are high in protein, high in fiber, low in calories, low in sugar. They have 100% chocolate on all of their bars. They are absolutely, positively delicious. And right now, you can visit Built.com. Use promo code LOCK15 to save 15% or more on your next order. That is Built.com. Promo code LOCK15 to save 15% or more off your next order. I had to get that day in there. So I know that's something we could all unite around, regardless of what your opinions are of trading DeVante Parker to the Patriots or not. But that would be the thought that I would leave you with is DeVante Parker's. Nobody knows DeVante Parker better than the team who just traded him. And this was not a Wes Welker situation where was a restricted free agent and the Patriots put some BS offset language into their offer sheet that the Dolphins would have got absolutely piped over if they matched. So you had to trade him, or else you were going to pay him an exorbitant amount of money versus what he was actually worth. This is not that kind of situation. The Dolphins looked at their wide receiver room. They looked at their pass catching options. They looked at their financials, and they said, now is the right time to move from DeVante Parker. I considered it last offseason, and I certainly asked them to do it before the trade deadline. And if you have any question, I didn't even get to the terms of the trade yet. If you have any question that the Dolphins did well, they traded DeVante Parker and a future this year's 5th round pick for a 2023 3rd round draft selection. And if you have any question on whether or not Miami did well with that or not, go look at Dallas Cowboys fans and media reaction to the Parker trade compared to the Amari Cooper trade. Amari Cooper is a more productive wide receiver. He's a more dynamic wide receiver. He's a better route runner. He was owed more money, but not guaranteed money. Any team that acquired that could have restructured that or worked around that very, very easily. And the Browns got a 5 for Amari Cooper. Miami got a 3 in 2023 by giving up a 5 this year, along with Parker. That on the trade value chart ends up being somewhere around the difference of a 3rd round draft choice. Now, if you want to discount the value of the pick because you have to wait a year to spend it, okay, I can get that. I can get behind that. But either way, it's going to be a better return on investment than what the Browns traded Dallas for Amari Cooper. And Dallas fans are beside themselves over it. So the net result here is Miami has just 4 draft selections in the 2022 NFL draft at this point in time. None in the top 100, 2 in the top 150. The Dolphins are number 4 in the NFL in salary cap space. The Dolphins have 5 top 100 selections currently scheduled for 2023. 2 1s, a 2, and 2 3s. Chris Grier's in his bag this offseason because we've heard them say, we're not done yet. We're not done. Or we've heard the beat suggest that they're not done yet. What else that means, I don't know. That'll probably be some time dedicated this week into exploring what other kinds of additions are available at this point in time. Obviously, J.C. Tretter's name still floating around out there. I'm sure that's a name that Dolphins fans are watching very closely. But even if they don't spend it, if you don't use salary cap space, you can roll it over. So you could take that salary cap space and push it to 2023, which I know everybody's worried about. How do you pay for a Christian Wilkins extension amongst the Tyreek Hill deal and the Xavien Howard deal? Don't worry about that bit, especially with the growth of the salary cap. This has been an exciting weekend. I'm glad I could bring my thoughts to all of you on this front. Dolphins keeping their best players, taking advantage of depth at the wide receiver position, and picking up some extra draft capital, enough draft capital to make the Dallas Cowboys fans envious of what Miami got for DeVante Parker. So, a lot of good things. Kyle Krabs, Locked On Dolphins. Fins up. Keep it locked in right here on Locked On Dolphins. Thanks for listening, or thanks for watching if you're over on the YouTube channel. If you like YouTube, you like video podcasting, go check out the channel. Locked On Dolphins. Like the video, hit subscribe on the channel. That way you know when we are live. Make it a good Monday. I'll talk with you guys again tomorrow.